Welcome to a rather wet Sunday evening in a field of vertigo spring beans. What I would like to do here on the new channel is to do a pre-harvest roundup of what's been happening and what's possibly going to happen. That was a bit of a pun, that, wasn't it? Pre-harvest roundup. Other glyphosates are available, as they say. But anyway, here we are in a field of vertigo spring beans, and they've looked well all year. Now this land up here is fairly dry. It's very stony, very thin soil, and I'm actually quite surprised at how well they've done. If we look at the amount of biomass that these have put on in the, what are we looking, 13th of April, so that's May, June, July, 3 and a bit months they've been in the ground. Absolutely massive amount of growth there. But there is a certain inconsistency and variation in the number of pods per plant. Now if we take a look at this one here, you'll see what I mean. Lots and lots and lots of them. Now if we get away into the crop, a little ways into the crop, there's some where there's maybe not so many. But I've done a rough count on some of them, and there's going to be an average of around about 30 seeds per plant, I think, and well, we hope. But see, it's finished flowering now, so we're hoping harvest will come towards the end of September. So that's the first crop on this pre-harvest roundup video. Well, we've moved on now to a field of Horatio winter wheat, planted on the 20th of September. Now this came away quite well, but during the spring it was fighting a running battle with the slugs. It's the first wheat after Oilseed Rape. The rape straw was chopped off the combine, but I think I wouldn't be lying if I said that the spread and the chop wasn't great. So there was bands in this field where the slugs just had an absolute heyday. But absolutely remarkable how it's recovered. It looks well. It's another 2 or 3, well, 3 or 4 weeks probably off harvest, maybe it's even more. But it's produced some pretty decent heads. And again, this is a thin, light soil, and it's been such a dry year. I'm really surprised how well it looks. So we'll hold up reasonable hopes for this, considering the lighter land. But as you can hear, it's still raining, but we're going to stick with this. I'm not going to give up. We will stay with it. But as you can see, that's not a bad looking crop of wheat considering what it's had to put up with. But in April it looked absolutely poor. What I might do, I did take some aerial shots of this in April, and we'll just stick a little bit of that on now, and you'll see what I mean. But we'll move on to have a look at some of the wheat on the heavier land and some of the barley on the heavier land as well. Right, we're now in a field of Santiago, first wheat, planted 25th of September in the shadow of the turbines. Turning a little bit, there's hardly a breath of wind, just shows how efficient these things are. And again, this is looking incredibly well, but this is on some of the heavier land, so it hasn't suffered so much with the dry weather, but it's always looked good. It fought off the slugs probably a little bit better in the spring. There's a little bit of septoria in it when you dive down deep there, but that's just because of the wet weather we've had over the last few weeks, but there's nothing we can do about it. As you can see, the heads are pretty good, pretty impressive, filled nicely, and I suppose at this time we could really do without this rain. We could do with it being fine and sunny, because this has kept its colour. It's green still, it's just starting to die off right down in the bottom, but it's kept its colour incredibly well. Massive flag leaves on this Santiago. They were absolutely huge. They were like, it looked like a field of leeks when it was flag leaf fully emerged. It really did. It looked fantastic. So high hopes for this one. Let's wait and see. We're going to have a look at some barley now. Right, here we are in a crop of volume winter barley. We're just getting wet somewhere else now. This was planted on the 13th of September and it's looked well all year. Again, like everything is, direct drilled. Now, if we have a look down here, there's quite a lot of height on this straw, but you can see there's still some of last year's residue still there protecting the soil, holding the moisture in and keeping the heat out possibly, and then keeping the heat in as and when. It's a nice little blanket of trash. We don't particularly like to call it trash because it does have some use. But you see the 6-row variety tend to hold on to their own seeds. I remember growing a 6-row variety called Galwa back in the 1980s, which yielded well, but it was an absolute bitch to combine and thresh and get a clean sample, plus the specific weights weren't great. But this has just quite a lot of promise. It's not very far away from harvest if this bloody rain would pack in. It really just needs 4 or 5 fine days and it would be there. But as you can see, it doesn't look like it. It's not going to be terribly fine. I should not be standing here underneath this umbrella. It should be fine. But anyway, where should we go next? We'll find something else, eh? We'll go and have a look at the Oilseed Rape. Well, you'll be pleased to hear the rain's getting heavier. Here we are in the Anastasia Oilseed Rape, which is looking pretty wet but pretty good on the turn now, so this will not be that far away from getting sprayed off and harvested. And it's looked a bit patchy through the year, but again, I've got some aerial of this that I took just a few days ago, so we'll put that up now and you can have a look at that. At least it did better than the other 24 hectare block there is of Oilseed Rape, which was decimated by slugs, and that's now into the spring beans. But it's looking useful. It's looking pretty useful now. We'll just have to wait and see. Wait and see if this bloody rain stops. But if you can see from up above, anyway, let's have a look at that. And you can see it's starting to turn. It's not necessarily terribly even, but it's not too bad. Considering the way that it actually looked throughout the season, it's not too bad. So we'll just whiz over the way, because we're not so very far away here, from a field of Glacier winter barley planted on the 28th of September, and this is probably about a week and a half behind the volume, maybe it's even 2 weeks behind it, but again it's looking okay. A few stray wheat heads in there, but again not looking too bad. And direct drilling, we've got a little bit of trash still there, we've got a few weeds coming through, still holding its colour. It was probably, the barleys this year will probably be the cleanest barleys that I've ever seen, and they have held onto the colour for quite some time. Again, this is on the heavier land, so we'd expect this to do quite well. The sample looks like it's going to be very nice. It's nice big berries, and looking good. So I would think probably in 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, we'll probably be into this. Fairly late, I would say, because it is now the, what is it today? 25th, I think, of July, and we haven't even started. So let's just hope and pray the weather improves a little bit. But that'll do for now. I'm sick of standing out in the wet. This brolly's not great either, it's not really keeping me that dry. I think it's got a hole or two in it. And my legs are absolutely soaking wet. So we'll catch you next time anyway. Bye for now.